you for tuning in. That was a special, really drawn out what's up, everybody, because Betsy makes fun of me about this. And with that, the most important show I've ever done in my entire life, episode number 2 of Best Served High with Betsy Cummings, aka the Hearty Mama. She's downstairs right now. She's literally downstairs, and we got the boys in the other room. I'm upstairs in the office. They're watching TV. It's real life right now, people. All right, before we get into Betsy's story a little bit, I want to tell you about Best Served High, H-I-G-H, Hospitality Industry Good Health. We are starting a new channel within Best Served to really focus on and highlight the opportunities to speak to humans formerly in hospitality, currently in hospitality, or that have a deep connection to hospitality about their own experiences, and then now finding a new career path, a side hustle that really allows them the opportunity to find balance. Balance is a word in our industry that we absolutely suck at. And so I want to really highlight that through this channel, and I'll share my personal stories throughout that, but we're gonna have different people on every Sunday. Tune in every Sunday for Best Served High moving forward. And I'm excited. We got a good lineup over the next 3 weeks. And so if you know people who fit the mold of somebody who was in the hospitality industry or is currently, and now they're a yoga instructor, or they're working in CBD or supplements or fitness, please connect us. So Betsy is the first ever guest on Best Served High. So Betsy, start with, you've been in the restaurant industry, in hospitality, hotels. We first met when you were working at the cafe in Ames, Iowa, one of my uncle's restaurants. And you worked here when we moved to Denver at Bull and Bush. Big shout out to the Peterson family at the Marriott hotels. So talk about your personal experience in hospitality, some of the joys, some of the pains that go with that industry.
Yes, love to. So first off, thank you for having me. It is a dream come true to be asked to be on my husband's podcast finally, after months and months. Just kidding. Actually, this is him like pulling me out of my shell, so it's probably a good thing. So, I started in hospitality when I was 16 years old. So I'm from Ames, Iowa, and there is a giant barbecue joint there in Hickory Park, and if you're familiar with the area, you will know about it. But I got done with my volleyball season, and my mom and dad said, go get a job. And so I went a half mile down the street, applied to be a host, and that started my hospitality career. So that was a great experience, just seeing a huge operation work. The intricacies of that whole restaurant and operation are insane. So I feel like I got a really good experience of just operations in general. And that was totally turn and burn. You know, we were moving people through that place so quickly. I think the average ticket time was like 36 minutes, some crazy shit like that. So it was insane. And then I started working at the cafe, which Jensen's uncle owns. And I really kind of expanded on my interest in food. Everything there was, made from scratch, and delicious soups every day, and all these amazing things that really opened my eyes to the culinary side of hospitality in Ames, Iowa. So I feel like that's where my really love for the hospitality industry grew.
Hold on, Betsy. I already got to reset us. Oh. I knew this was going to be an issue. Having both of us trying to be on this Be Live Wi-Fi was going to be a challenge. Hold on a second. I'm going to vanish. We'll start again. It's par for the course. Been dealing with a lot. All right, so you're at the cafe. It's kind of redefining what your expectation of food is, and you kind of get into the culture. I'm very fascinated in the culture of it, having been in it and seeing some perspective. So give us some of that, because I think a lot of times when you're in the industry, it's very easy to say, if you haven't been in the shit with us, you don't get it. And you do get it. And so that's what I would really want people to understand, is like, you do get it. And now you have perspective, and you've chosen to think about your health and wellness in a different way. But give us a little bit of your understanding of the culture, having been in it.
Yeah, I mean, two parts, like the camaraderie and just the group, workforce that we were in. There's all these like almost like years, right? Or school or yearbooks or something of two restaurants. And since we lived in a college town, a lot of us kind of worked together and then moved on together. And,
Yeah.
I'm still really good friends with a lot of people that I worked with there. We were super close at the time. They were open for breakfast. So I worked Friday night, Saturday night, and the Sunday morning brunch. So you can imagine in a college town, after you get off shift at 10:30, 11 o'clock on Saturday night, then you go to the bars, and then somehow you show up at like 6:30 or 7:30 when you're supposed to be serving brunch the next morning. So sorry for all the people that I waited on that morning. But we were a really tight group. It was a smaller restaurant. Between the managers and the chefs and the line cooks and all that, we were really super close. Looking back now that I'm older and as a college restaurant job, it was amazing. I made great money. I loved it. I had great customers. We had amazing experience with the food there. I learned a ton. All that kind of stuff. I think Jensen and I talk about this all the time with our children having kids now, and then people in the future. Like, we're going to make them work in a restaurant no matter what. Like, everyone needs to work in a restaurant and just understand it, because guess what? Everybody eats in a restaurant. And if the people that don't respect the service and the staff, it's because they've never worked in a restaurant, honestly.
Yes.
So I think just the experience in general, I would, obviously want for anyone. But yeah, I didn't know like what was, super didn't know what was going to happen, as far as Jensen and I went. I remember his Uncle Bob is a hilarious person. And he always told us college girls, don't shit where you eat. So meaning don't date any of the people in the industry, which is the exact opposite of what we all did. So,
Yep.
Yeah, but
well, he said that, right? And what's really funny about it is like that's the only people you hang out with. It's like the only people you see. It becomes so immersive. And so that's part of the challenge that I see too, is that we're so close to each other, that we can't see the forest for the trees. We have that work hard, play hard mentality. And so, I'll tell people right now, you and I met at a bar. Like, right? That's just real life, because you find your tribe, and that was really our tribe. And I think that's important for people to understand. And so then I think all that extends, like working through hospitality and being embedded in that, and you and I together and individually moving through that culture was important for us. I want to give people a perspective from the outside perspective. I think about your first Instagram handle was Chef's Wife Betsy, because you knew that there was other wives out there that never saw their husbands or their boyfriends, because you started to have a little bit of distance from the industry. And I was so in it, working 60, 70 hours a week, opening so many restaurants. So give people a perspective, trying to like navigate the life of having a crazy fucking chef husband. Like it's bonkers. It's absolutely crazy. Give people some perspective on that.
Yeah. So when we moved to Colorado, we were both working a lot. I feel like I don't know how we ever saw each other. So I was at the Marriott working crazy hours on events, on weekends, nights, things like that. And then you would go in, like 10:30, 11 to the restaurant till 11:30, midnight. And so we kind of had this off schedule of that. And I think the identity of being, that Chef's Wife Betsy was like, it was kind of this space where, my palate was being advanced and I was learning so much from you, and we were experiencing so many amazing restaurants. And so I feel like I did have some sort of knowledge or expertise in the area, but it was also like, but I'm a chef's wife. Like, I'm not like in it, but I know, but not really. Like, almost just kind of coming into this category of like, I got to eat some amazing food right alongside with you. And so that was really helpful to develop my palate and that sort of thing, obviously. But just like finding my space in sort of this mess of the hospitality industry, while being on the hotel side rather than the restaurant side. So it was fun. I feel like it was, we would do recipes and things like that. And I mean, back like this is like 10, 12 years ago, right? So I was like, I remember I saw like pictures of like starting a blog and like my smoothie recipe and all this stuff that like now I look back, I'm like, why didn't I keep up with that? But anyway, it was fun at the time. I feel like it was a good way for me to stay in this culinary mindset without working in a restaurant anymore, as far as that goes.
Yeah. So give people some of the nitty gritty. I think of Tag Restaurant, especially when you would text me multiple times a day to say, drink water. Literally said, drink
Yeah.
water, because I was so immersed in these 10, 12, 15-hour days. I would go a whole day without eating or drinking water. You know, they joked, they called me the robot and the camel. Those are two like nicknames that I had because I never peed and I was just like so unflappable. But from your perspective, like what was that like having to be like, I have to tell this dumbass to drink water or I'm going to have to pick up the pieces because he just doesn't take care of himself.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely saw you, put your heart and soul into everything there. You would like flip a switch on when you went to work and like robot go mode. And then that's when I was like texting you to drink water because you probably lost like, I don't know, 20, 25 pounds when you started there just from the hard work and exhaustion. But, I would, yeah, text you like when I got off work, drink water, drink water, drink water, because I knew you weren't stopping for anything. And then you would come home and you would like flip the switch off and like come and just like deplete on the couch. So it was taking everything out of your body to stay on and stay present in your brain. And then when you came home, like the man doesn't fold his underwear, people,
Nope. Nope. I even have holes in my
Yeah.
socks now. But Betsy, can you order me new socks, please? I'm like such a capable, yet at the same time, completely helpless, grown ass man. That's
But
hilarious.
that was
And so there was a time also when my younger brother Mitchell, also in the industry, worked, at Kevin Taylor's Tag, Row 14, and you would you'd have a meal for us in the oven, just pop it on and heat it back up because all we had done for the whole day is like maybe taste a couple things or try something at lineup or eat some cold food standing up, and then we got off work and then we started drinking without eating, all of these things, and I mean, why was that important? Did you feel like if you didn't do it, we weren't going to make it?
Yeah, well, and too, I was eating meals by myself. So I would come home from the Marriott and I'd have my own time and make myself my chicken dinner and then like I'm like, oh, they're gonna be so hungry when they get home. I mean, yeah, my like Midwest cookery housewife came out when I was making meatloaf and casseroles, and these two California boys were like, "What the hell is this?" But you loved
What
it.
is a casserole? I had never heard of casserole until I moved to Iowa.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think too, and like that's how I am. I'm just a caretaker. Like that is part of, I think it's always, my parents are both in the health field, so they come from that side of service, but then you mix that with like the hospitality industry, and like my mind is always, even having kids, it is anticipating needs 24/7, like anticipating needs, anticipating issues, anticipating people hurting themselves. Everything comes back to that backbone of like hospitality, of what I was taught of being a good server.
Yeah. All right. So then the Hardy Mama, as we became parents, you went leveled up in a big way to thinking about, oh, getting a text. We got to reset again. Hold on.
I would say try, your sound was better when you backed up.
Hold on. We have Sophie Breaker is like a lifesaver now. She can tell us anytime she says reset, robot voice. That's the standard text that we get. So you definitely leveled up, right? When we started to have kids, you were thinking about health and wellness in a completely different way. And so I want to touch on that because a lot of things changed in our lives at that moment, but specifically for you and health and wellness, and then the Hardy Mama and birth and natural birth and being a resource for mothers, supplements and plexus. This became very much ingrained in the fabric of the way that our family is and has been and is now. So why was that so important for you?
Yeah, so coming out of my career with Marriott, so that basically ended when I had my first child. So first pregnancies are hard on everybody, moms included. But I had some health issues for that, and ended up totally great and fine, and everything was wonderful. But it was definitely like, I don't want to have to deal with that again, through
Yeah.
another pregnancy. And so that's where really, like, coming out of that postpartum period and foggy year, probably, I was ready to like kick some ass again and just focus on, my health, as far as not just as it relates to a baby.
Yeah.
So I feel like that, I've always been super interested in like holistic health methods. Like I said, my parents are in the health field, but they were never like, I mean, you probably had to beg my dad to take ibuprofen when we were younger. Like, they were not like, they were just like, your foot hurts, great. So I've always, been interested in holistic health methods. I've always like wanted to find out different ways to heal your body rather than just prescriptions. I've always been really interested in natural methods and supplements and, those
Yeah.
sorts of things. And I mean, I was like taking probiotic. Like, I remember when I was working at the Marriott, I had these acidophilus, which is a strain of probiotic that I
Yeah.
literally would keep on my desk. They're like chewables. I would like pop them all day. And like, that was probably, a decade ago, when I didn't even really, or plus, that I didn't even really understand like gut health, like I do now.
Yeah.
So it's so funny to me to like be like, oh yeah, I've been on this train for a really long time. But yeah, I think going through that first pregnancy and birth was really eye-opening for me, just wanting to learn as much as I could about the human body and a woman's body and hormones and all of those things that go into it. And so I was super interested in just that in general, and kind of stumbled upon
Yeah.
this supplement company that focused on gut health. And that was like a ding in my brain that I knew there were so many connections between so many issues people are having: mental, physical pain, and gut health. And you can look it up if you want, if you have something you're dealing with at home. And so I knew that this was going to be so important for the health of myself, as well as the health of our family and kids to come, and that sort of thing. So it was I think something that obviously I was meant to stumble upon, but also like I had been brewing it in my brain for, the previous 5 to 10 years as well.
It was very interesting when this first came about because you have always been poking and prodding, finding a lane for yourself with health and wellness early on, and even before we had got pregnant with Davis. And then Plexus came about, and this is now over 5 years ago that we've been taking this product. And I was so cynical because I'm an asshole, and I totally am just like, yeah, whatever, like another fad thing that you're going to go after. And then it's a product that's an MLM marketing, a multi-level marketing, right? And I'm like, great. So I'm not the type to like buy into that kind of like, I don't know, frat boy thing. It's like, hey, let's pay to like all be friends with each other, and then we're like a clique and we're better than other people, and it feels spammy, all these different things. Anyway, you were very adamant about it. You felt very much that you were building community through that. And I talk about community a lot. So if I think that the way that I build community is the right way, I'm probably wrong. But the way that you were building community just didn't seem like what I thought of. And I was wrong for sure. Why was that product, that community, that brand, like, why did that speak to you? Because, we're cynical in the restaurant industry a lot. And I want people to know, like, there's opportunities for your own health, but for you, like, you make money off of this as well. You have residual income from a little hustle, a little community, and a little health.
I think the biggest thing that I had never been a part of anything that was like personal growth related. Like, I spent
Mm.
8 years in corporate America, and not once was there any push. And maybe it's changed now. I will say that I've been out of it for 6 years. And maybe there's corporations that are doing that, but I never was once pushed to better myself, figure out stuff, work on myself, why we do the things we do, empower myself, empower others, like all these things related to personal growth. It was never presented to me. And so it was really eye opening when I had all these women, and a lot of them were either very successful women that did not need a side hustle, but for whatever reason they wanted it, or they didn't want to be in that career anymore. Or these are like stay-at-home moms that are like kicking ass, like they are zooming past their husband's salary, creating a life for themselves that they wanted. And so much of it has to do with, and you'll find this with a lot of really successful, men and women in this field, is that they say that it is not multi-level marketing business. It is a personal development business. And if you work on yourself enough, and if you grow yourself and learn all these intricacies about yourself and are able to do them and be successful, you will be successful. And I thought that was really intriguing to me because I had done zero on that. And so that's really honestly a lot of the focus the last 5 years. And even the last few months, like it changes every day. And now with this situation, I feel like I went back to that and was figuring out new ways to do things and that sort of thing. So that's really what caught my eye. Obviously the products, I love them. I knew they work. I had great success myself. Other people I knew had great success. I've had customers for 5 years that are still taking these products. So I know that they work. And so that was the biggest piece for me, that I think that I bought into this idea of community through empowering other women. And that was so amazing to me. And I wanted to do the same.
I think it's a very important thing you just said for the macro, but for you specifically and personally, because we joked about it, but you created an Instagram handle that was you in the reflection of me. And so often we joke about too how you would see all these people at all these events that we did, all these chefs and bartenders and winemakers and stuff, and you would introduce yourself as, "Hi, I'm Betsy, Jensen's wife," because you felt like if you didn't contextualize who you were because they know who I was, then you were other, right? And so now when we talk about the Hearty Mama, you are so like your own personal brand, and your reputation has nothing to do with me. If anything, I'm a hindrance to your reputation because like, oh man, that guy. And I think it's important. And you talked about at the very beginning, you getting pulled out of your shell. I think is the most critical thing in this. Like you are actually way more entertaining than I am. You just aren't willing to put yourself out there like I am and have people go, wow, that guy's annoying as hell. And that's the number one thing that I appreciate. Or when I look at you in the mommy world, as a certified doula and having coached people through birth and seeing that whole community, and then the empowered women and men, but, very much led by women in Plexus, like it means a lot. Like I feel like now I should be like, oh, I'm Jensen, the Hearty Mama's husband. And I think that's an important distinction. So I love it. I love that we got to talk about this. It's really important for Betsy and I personally as a family, those two boys in there. And at this time to be able to like have our health we're healthy right now. Like that's something we take so for granted. And I think it's an important thing. There's a lot of people out there who are not healthy, who are literally dying in this moment. And the fact that Betsy has spent a lot of time kicking me in the head to like think about health and wellness and these different things, like it's definitely leveled me up. And I think balance again is the important part I want everyone to listen to. We're not saying that you have to go and be sober, be vegan, be this, be that, be whatever these titles that we put on ourselves to be able to be healthy. You just need to find your sweet spot, just like Betsy did, and has helped me as well. So I think that's a very important thing for us to be able to talk about. And that's what we're going to talk about through this show. So any last thoughts, any parting words that you have for this audience to speak to me, you, Mitchell, our community, 10 years ago when we could have really done with some hospitality industry good health? What would you say to us back in the day?
Yeah, I think that there's, to piggyback on kind of what you just said, is like finding one thing that works. Like a lot of people have been like starting, during this process, starting with running a mile a day or walking a mile a day or
Yep.
drinking more water or cutting something out. Like start really small and work your way up. You can always change. And here's the thing too, is for me, I don't like to eat a lot of meat. I don't do well with gluten,
Yeah.
but I'm not totally gluten free and I'm not totally vegetarian. Guess what? It doesn't fucking matter. You do not need to wear a label on your shirt that says if you're vegetarian or not. You can eat low meat if you want to. You can eat bacon one day if you want to, and then eat veggies for the next 6 months. Like, that's one thing I'm trying to work on so much in like the motherhood world is these labels that are so constricting.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. If you want to be sober for 29 days out of the month, do that. And then have your one night that you're going to have a drink. You don't have to be an alcoholic or sober. You can be whatever you want. Take off the labels and make sure that you're taking care of yourself and that it makes sense for you and your body.
Mic drop. I'm telling you, people, listen. I try to listen. I'm a bad listener, and every time that I listen, good things happen. So thank you. I hear the boys coming out of the room. I think they're coming for you. What's really funny, we joked about it, is they're coming for her. They have to pass right by this office, walk down the stairs, across the kitchen, and I guarantee they're coming for her because we wouldn't disturb Dad, but definitely we're going to go and make sure and wreak havoc on Mom. So, Betsy, I love you. Thank you. All right. I'll see you in 5. Yes. She's the best. I married up to the nth degree for sure. I always joke that I was like, I found the best person that I could and I locked it down. And so we've been together since she was 20 and I was 22. And yes, I did say we met at the bar. She was 20, I was 22. This industry is so in my personal DNA. 5th consecutive generation chef, restaurateur, started 120 years ago. 3 uncles in the game, knee deep in it. And younger brother, mentioned that as well. Wife, all of it. We are just so ingrained in hospitality. And it is such a struggle to get perspective when you're working those crazy, insane hours and putting everything, like everything that you have into that next plate, that next guest, that next turn. And it does wear on you. And balance is not something that we ever talk about. We talk about work hard, play hard. We grind. We're grimy. We are the island of misfit toys. We are a band of rebels. We're pirates on the pirate ship. And if I had known that there was an opportunity for balance, I might not have, tried to kill my body and my mind and been so unbelievably unhealthy and woken up in my car in the back parking lots of parking structures of multiple restaurants and just dumb shit. And I have amazing memories. So I don't demonize that time. I reflect upon it because some of the best people that I know came up in that time, and now getting to tell stories about Carlos Marquez Uribe, one of my greatest friends. We were cooks together when we were 17 years old. One of the wildest party dudes you will ever meet. 2 weeks ago, I was joking about the guy who used to get drinks bought for him by turning a shot glass upside down and snorting part of a shot of alcohol to get somebody to buy him a drink, is texting me that he's down like 35 pounds, 40 pounds because he's gone vegan for the last several months. And he's, at his lowest weight since like high school. Like, man, if we had been able to do that back in the day, we might have been a completely different industry. That's one of the hopes that I have. That's why I started this channel, is not to preach to people to say, you need to change your entire life, to say there are other options and opportunities. And if we normalize and mainstream that, we can sustain this industry, because I have a wish, and I'm going to be doing a lot of work, and you're hearing from me a lot more, that 65-year-old line cooks have worked as line cooks for 30, 35 years and are getting ready to retire and get the gold watch and the pension, because our industry is built for that level of sustainability. That's an important thing. If we do that, we have a real chance to be a real job. And that's a hope that I really have. That's what this channel is about. So tune in every Sunday. And I have 2 shows typically every Sunday, noon Mountain, 1 p.m. Mountain. They'll be a little bit shorter than the normal shows, probably 15, 20 minutes. This a little longer just because we're going deeper with Betsy and giving you some background. So tune into those every week. Next week, I have Alex Jump, who's behind the stick at Death & Co. in Denver. And she also started FOH, which I should have wrote down. Now I forgot what the acronym means, but it's about mental health and some of the struggles that she's had with depression and anxiety. And we're gonna touch on that a little bit. And then the 1 o'clock time show next week is Taylor Wessel, who worked with me at Row 14. She's out in Chicago with Tailored Health, health and nutrition coaching. So those are the type of topics and guests that you can expect every Sunday. So tune in next week. And then tomorrow's Best Served Live will be Steven Satterfield. Legend. Love that guy. His restaurant, Miller Union. He's James Beard award-winning chef. He's led the way with the slow food movement. He was our leader when we did the zero waste family meal cooking for Massimo Botaro here in Denver for Slow Food Nation. So just an absolute wealth of knowledge leader. He's going to talk about Georgia reopening and some of his thoughts on that topic. So tune in tomorrow, noon Mountain. All right, we'll go hang out with the fam. I can hear them going crazy out here. I appreciate you guys. Balance. Best served high. I love it. I appreciate the opportunity. Cheers.